Blended families can take a lot of different forms, whether you have stepchildren, adopted children, or maybe just people you've adopted as kin. When you have a blended family, the estate planning considerations are greater than when you don't have a blended family. Because of that, estate planning is really essential for any blended family. Some of the most common issues when blended families come together are keeping assets separate. When you come together in a relationship, if you merge your assets, they become owned through community property by your spouse. If you want to pass your assets on, even if just some of them, to your children from a first marriage, then you want to make sure to keep those assets that you want to pass on separate by keeping them in a separate bank account and not merging them with your new spouse's assets. Another issue that comes up with blended families is the timing of inheritance. Let's say you get married and you have children from a prior marriage, and now you pass away. If you don't make particular plans, then your children are going to have to wait until your new spouse passes away, which could be decades, until they receive an inheritance. Sometimes when you have a blended family, it makes sense to make provisions for a small inheritance to your children from a prior relationship so that when you pass away, they're recognized in some way, and then they can wait until your new spouse passes away for the rest of their inheritance. When you're in a blended family, it makes sense to carefully consider your trustees. Let's say you have children from a prior marriage. You get married to a new person. That new person would be your successor trustee if you were to pass away. The problem with that is that you may not want your new spouse to be the trustee of everything if you have children from a prior marriage. Especially if they're adult children, you might name one of them as a co-trustee if something happens to you. Alternatively, it makes a lot of sense to name a neutral third party, somebody who's not part of the family at all, perhaps a professional fiduciary, to serve as trustee. In this way, you can avoid a lot of conflict. Having a clear estate plan is a great step toward avoiding conflict, but also it makes a lot of sense if your children are older to have a family meeting so that it's explained to your kids what your estate planning is going to do and why. When people understand what's going to happen, it decreases surprises and also decreases conflict. Finally, incapacity planning is important when you're in a blended family. If something happens to you and you become incapacitated, who do you want making medical decisions for you? And who do you want handling your legal and financial affairs? If you have older children from a prior marriage, it's a good idea to chat with them about this. At my law firm, we take pride in creating estate plans for blended families that will work and keep conflict at a minimum. If you'd like to talk more about planning for a blended family, give me a call.